A few months ago, I went in for a routine blood test. Nothing dramatic, just a standard checkup, the kind most of us put off for way longer than we should. A week later, I got a call from the clinic. My doctor looked over the results, pointed at a few numbers on the page, said they were slightly elevated, and told me, in almost these exact words, to eat better. That was the entire explanation. Eat better. No specifics. No actual plan. Just two words that sounded helpful but told me absolutely nothing useful. I left that appointment more confused than when I walked in, and I think a lot of people have felt exactly this. What does eat better even mean, practically? Less sugar? Less carbs? More protein? Cut dairy? I was holding a page full of numbers, abbreviations, and reference ranges I didn't fully understand, paired with one vague instruction I had no real way to follow. So that evening, sitting at home with that same piece of paper still in my hand, I tried something I hadn't really thought to do before. I opened ChatGPT and uploaded a photo of my actual blood work report, exactly as the clinic had printed it. Before I show you what happened, let me be upfront about something, because this matters more than almost anything else in this video. What I'm about to show you is not medical advice, and it never replaced an actual doctor in my situation. I want to walk you through exactly how I used this, including the part where I went back to a real doctor afterward, because that step is just as important as the AI part. Here's the exact prompt I typed. Here is my recent blood work. Explain what each flagged result actually means in simple terms, and suggest general dietary changes that commonly help with these specific markers. What came back actually made sense to me in a way that 5-minute phone call never did. It explained, in plain, everyday language, what each flag number actually represented. Not some generic eat healthy advice copied from a magazine, but specifically why one particular marker tends to rise, what bodily processes are connected to it, and which categories of food are commonly linked to bringing it back toward a healthier range. For example, one of my markers was related to cholesterol levels. Instead of just saying cut fat, which I'd heard 100 times before, it explained the difference between the types of fat that tend to raise that specific marker versus the types that don't. And it gave me real, specific food examples for each category. That distinction alone was something nobody had ever actually explained to me before, despite multiple checkups over the years. Once I understood what was actually going on, I asked a natural follow-up question. I typed, based on this, create a simple 1-week meal structure using common, easy-to-find ingredients that supports these specific results. And it gave me an actual usable structure. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner ideas for each day, built specifically around what my own results suggested my body needed, not a random trending diet plan copied from somewhere online. Nothing extreme, nothing that required special ingredients I'd never heard of, just realistic meals with simple reasoning attached to each one, explaining why it fit. I asked it to keep things flexible too, since I cook for myself most nights and don't always have time for complicated meals. It adjusted, giving me simpler, quick options alongside the more detailed ones, all still aligned with the same underlying goal. Now, here's the part I think matters most in this entire video. I did not just take this plan and run with it blindly. At my next scheduled appointment, I brought a printed summary of what AI had explained to me, and I specifically asked my doctor to review it. She read through it carefully and told me that most of what it suggested actually lined up reasonably well with what she would have recommended herself, given more time. She did adjust 1 or 2 small things based on details specific to my history that a blood report alone wouldn't show. But the overall direction was sound. That confirmation mattered enormously to me, and it's the entire reason I'm comfortable sharing this video at all. I wasn't using AI to bypass medical advice. I was using it to finally understand medical advice that I'd already been given but never had properly explained. Let me be really clear about the limits of this, because I think it's important. AI did not diagnose anything. It did not prescribe medication. It did not replace lab work or a real conversation with a doctor. What it did, specifically and usefully, was take dense, confusing language and translate it into something I could act on day to day, filling a gap that a rushed 5-minute appointment realistically never has time to fill. If you've ever left a doctor's office with more questions than you walked in with, or been handed a result with zero real explanation attached, this exact approach is worth trying for yourself. Take a clear photo of your own results, ask for a plain language explanation specific to your numbers, and then, just as importantly, take that explanation back to an actual doctor before making any real changes. One more thing worth mentioning. If your results involve anything sensitive, blur out your name and personal details before uploading anywhere, the same way I did with mine. You only need the actual numbers and markers explained. Nothing identifying needs to be included. This whole experiment, from uploading the photo to getting a full week of meals planned out, took less than 15 minutes total. The exact prompts I used in this video are linked below, completely free for you to try with your own results. If you do try this yourself, I'd genuinely love to know what you find out and whether your own doctor confirms it the same way mine did. Subscribe if you want to see what I try next, because this entire channel is built around exactly this. Real tools used on real problems with honest results either way. See you next week.